Should you purchase real estate here in Merida if you're planning to retire here? Should you rent an Airbnb instead of trying to get a rental here on your scouting trip? How long should your scouting trip be? How can you get the low rental prices that I mentioned in my videos? What are some red flags when dealing with landlords? What are some green flags? Where should you stay for your scouting trip? There are two posts right now in one of the Facebook groups that I am in when it comes to like living in Merida. There are two posts in there that are really good with information for you guys if you are interested in any of the questions that I just posed. So if you are thinking about moving to Merida, Mexico, you have deeper questions than the ones that I have already covered, because I've spoken about rentals quite a bit here on my channel, but some of these questions are really good. So I'm going to answer these questions here on my platform because they are in the Black Merida Facebook group. And some of y'all are not on Facebook. Some of y'all are not Black. Some of y'all are just, you would miss this information. So I wanted to give it a voice and amplify it even more, because these are the questions that you need information for. Like, I get these questions a lot in my DMs on Instagram sometimes, and I just wanted to cover them so that you guys have this information. So you'll see me looking over onto the side here because I'm going to be reading from the Facebook group every now and then. So let's talk about the first one. They said, let me read the question. My wife and I have decided to visit Merida. I'm not 100% sure where we'll be staying at. So point number one, before I move on, a lot of you do ask me, where should you stay in Merida, for two different reasons: for your scouting trip, or if you're just visiting, like you've heard of Merida, you want to come check it out. You don't even know about living here, but you just heard about this great place and you think it's a great place to come on vacation. So my answer here is twofold. If you're coming, oh, by the way, did I introduce myself? My name is Monique. I am the traveling Jamaican. I left Jamaica in 2022 and I have been living in Merida, Mexico ever since. So welcome to the channel. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel if you want to learn more about living in Merida or life as a 40+ single woman here in Merida, Mexico. I talk about those two topics on this channel here. All right, let's get into it. If you're coming to Merida as a tourist, just here on vibes, that's all you are, you want to stay in Central, because Central is where all the activity is. All of the nice restaurants, the bars, the museums, the places to see, all of the touristy things that you will do, you will want to do, they are in Central. Now, of course, the nice malls and some of the better, finer let me not be unfair, because there are some great restaurants in Central, but more restaurants are to be explored up in the north as well. But those are one-off trips. So every now and then you jump in an Uber, you go to the north to check out a mall or check out a restaurant. But the majority of what you will want to experience is in Central. So if you're coming to Merida just on a visit and you have a few days, a few weeks, stay in Central, because it's very walkable. You can walk to all the parks, you can walk to some of the restaurants, you can walk and find anything that you would need in Central. So stay in Central. Central is where it's at. Central is where the vibes are. Central is where you'll find the nice rooftop bars and hotels. Central is where you can just walk up and take a ride and woo, wow, there's like a cultural performance happening here, and woo, there's a puck-to-puck game happening here, and all kind of fanciness and excitement and niceness gone down in a Central. So if you're just here on vibes, stay in Central. If you're on a scouting trip, you want to stay for longer than just a couple of weeks, like a scouting trip to see if Merida is where you want to live. If you can, I would suggest you come for at least a month, and even that is kind of pushing it, because you want to spend 2 weeks in Central. You still want to spend some time in Central. I think Central is where you're going to get like the real backbone of the city. You're going to see everything right away and decide if this is your vibe. But you're going to want to spend some time in the north as well to see what more suburban Merida looks like, feels like, sounds like. And you're going to want to spend some time in different sections of the north to see where your vibe is, because the north has different vibes to it. Like you have the nicer areas, the more expensive areas, the more local areas, the areas with the mom and pop shops, the areas with the fancy expensive restaurants. So you're gonna want to spend some time and bounce around. You're going to want to do this in Airbnbs. So someone reached out to me and they asked me how come they can't get the prices that I'm talking about, the $600 and $700 rent per month for 3 months. If you're coming on a scouting trip for 3 months, you're not gonna get rental prices for $600 and $700 US per month, because those people have their homes on Airbnbs. $600 and $700 is for long-term 1-year contracts, people who live here and they are ready to sign a lease for a year at least. They're gonna put some deposits down on that. They're gonna take all the necessary steps that you take when you want to rent here. So you're just gonna, if you're not coming for at least 6 months, the least you can get a lease for a rental contract here for is 6 months, and the 6 months ones are still kind of hard to come by. If you're coming for less than that, it's Airbnb. Jump on Airbnb and see what you can find. In the winter months when everybody's here, Airbnb prices go up. So if you're coming on a scouting trip anyway, you want to come in May when the devil's balls is hot as the devil's balls here. You really want to come and feel that heat for yourself and decide if you can deal with that long term, because it is not easy. You want to see also what the electricity bills are like in those months to see if it fits your budget, because you use air a lot in those months. So if you're coming on a scouting trip, you have to plan it for May, June, July, when the devil visits Merida. Okay. So yeah, so where to stay, I just answered that question. If you're coming on vibes, stay in Central. If it's a scouting trip, you want to stay in Central and several places in the north to decide what is more your vibe. Okay, so he's hearing that Merida is a hot spot right now. He wants to know if he should buy something quickly, even though he doesn't plan to retire right now. You never buy real estate in somewhere where you've never lived in. Like, you don't know if you're going to retire here. Someone answered him and said, if you're not planning to retire in the next 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 years, even 5 years, you don't want to buy somewhere. Mexico can change. The entire climate of a country can change. You just never know where you want to retire in 5 years. So I would not suggest buying somewhere sight unseen. Absolutely not. Do not buy in Mexico sight unseen. You will have to come and see and touch and knock the walls and check for leaks and do all the things. Do not buy on pictures and videos and vibes. Come and look for yourself and see and talk to the landlord and do all the things. But especially if you plan to retire way down the line, I don't know. I still think you want to rent and live in the place and do longer vacations. If you're planning to retire, say 5 years down, then come every year. Book your vacation here every year and make sure that it is somewhere that you 100% sure you love the place and you want to live here when you retire. Cause see me and come live with me are two different things. So you come to vacation here and you come and live here, it might still be like, oh, this is not what I experienced when I was vacationing, you know. So it's still not even 100% sure when you come here just on vacation vibes. But sight unseen, me not recommend that. The second part of that first question, the person asked what areas they would want to live in. If you go back and watch my video on the best neighborhoods in Merida, you will see me recommend some for where most expats like, especially if you like the modern vibe. If you want Spanish colonial and you want to be in the center of attractions and activities where you don't have to like go outside of the city a lot, you want to stay in Central where you don't mind the noise and the crowd and the flooding when it rains down there. But in the north, you want to come and stay. We can't answer that question for you. Sometimes when you ask these questions in the group to people who already live here, it depends on your lifestyle. We can't answer those questions for you in terms of where to stay. But all I will always say is if you're going to stay outside of the periferical in Las Americas, in Cauquel, in Concal, in Los Heroes, in Tixcacal, those areas are going to be suited for you if you have a car. if you are coming with your family. So it's you and your family in your little bubble, and you don't need or want or have that desire to go out and be social very often. Or if you're a single person, but you don't have that desire to go out and be social often, because these places are a little bit more remote. They're outside of the city. They're harder and more expensive on Uber to come into the city often. And so you want to take that into consideration if you're going outside of the city, because outside of the city you will find nicer homes for less expensive, but it is harder transportation wise. Unless you come with your car, all good. What can you expect to pay for a 5-mile Uber ride in USD? I don't know what 5 miles, I don't know what 5 miles, I don't know what it is. The majority of your trips, if you live inside the peripheral, are going to be less than 100 pesos. So that's $5, not $5 US. If you're going from Central to the Harbor Mall, which is right on the peripheral, that's gonna probably cost you maybe $6-7. If you're going from Central to Concal is a neighborhood way outside the peripheral, that might cost you 200 pesos, so that's $10. So that's the furthest that most people are gonna go. Well, if you take Uber to go to the beach, so if you're going from Central to Progreso, that's going to cost you maybe 400 pesos, so that's $20 US. So, and then of course, you know, surge pricing and all of that, because a Progreso trip can be as high as 500-600 pesos, so that's $30. So again, it depends on all of these other things, but the majority of your trips, if you are within the peripheral, are gonna be $5. If you're outside of the peripheral, like when I used to live in Las Americas and we used to come inside the peripheral a lot, then all of my Uber trips were above 100 pesos. So I was paying on average $6, $7, $8, $9 to go anywhere per trip. So just keep that in mind depending on where you live. So, you know, I want to say that's not too bad for you if you're coming from America, but a lot of us are not. For me, that was kind of like, ooh. A lot of people will say, well, that's not so bad. I definitely know, like if you live in the US and I had to pay $14, $15 to go down the road in Uber, I was like, that's a lot of money to just go down the road. But if I'm in Jamaica, I'm not spending that kind of money on a taxi. So when I come here and I live in Las Americas and I have to pay $10 per trip, that adds up very quickly. So, you know, things are very relative. Americans will look on it and say, oh, that's not bad at all. And me, will come from the islands, bad. So that's why I harp a lot on making sure you choose where to live. Especially if you're on a tight budget, you want to look at these things very carefully. Should we use a credit card that has no foreign transaction fees for all purchases, or USD or pesos? You can use a credit card that has no transaction fees. That's amazing if you have access to that, of course. However, we are in Mexico and the currency here is in Mexican pesos. So you want to set up yourself where you always have access to Mexican pesos, because cash is king in Mexico and a lot of places don't take cards. So just be aware of that. You can't use US dollars here either. Like, what the people them gonna take the money and go change it? That's not, you're not gonna put that. They're not gonna take your US dollars. Don't be that person. Change your money out into pesos. You can come with the US dollars and go to the cambios here and change the money out. You can use your card, your US card, anywhere that takes cards, sure. But I would, if I were you, make sure you have access to pesos to do your transactions. A lot of people, especially when they're selling things, they will say, we take money via Cash App or Zelle. Oh, you're selling to Americans. You're not selling to me. I don't have Cash App or Zelle. I don't have access to those systems. So, you know, just be aware. Be situationally and locationally aware when you're doing certain things. If you're coming here on vacation vibes, it is completely fine to just use your credit cards, use your debit cards. They are accepted anywhere that cards are accepted. But if you want to go to the local taqueria, or you want to buy street food, you want to buy taco flautas from the little guy with the little stall up on the street side, he's not going to take cards. You have to have pesos. You can go to the ATMs, use your American cards and withdraw pesos. You will get pesos if you do a withdrawal here. The bank will convert it. There is a whole discussion on how to decline the conversion and all of that. Hosted and COFAT, do deeper research into these things. But I would suggest that you come with your cards, pay where it accepts cards, or go to the Cambio, exchange your US dollars, or use the ATMs, withdraw some money, use your pesos to do your cash transactions, because nobody here is going to take your US dollars. What are must visit restaurants? So this is where it is very good to use the search bar. If you're in these Facebook groups and you want a specific cuisine, I would use the Facebook group search bar. You can search within the group. You can put certain keywords. So if you're in the mood for steak, just go in the Facebook group and type steak restaurants. They'll pop up. These discussions are had ever so often. And a lot of times people are, if I go to a restaurant and I had a great experience, I will come and I will share it in the Facebook group so other people can know about this restaurant. You're gonna miss that if all you do is come in the Facebook group and ask a question. You want to use up the search feature as much as possible. So it's good that you're doing this research and asking these questions, but also use the search bar so that you can see what other people have recommended in the past. Because there are loads and loads of reviews of whenever people go out and they have great experiences, they will come back and report it to the group so other people can know about it. And then of course, best restaurants is relative. What you might like is not what I will like, and vice versa. So, but they went on to ask, they would definitely love to visit some Caribbean spots. This question is a recurring one. People want to know where the urban spots in Merida. Where did y'all get that? Am I doing a bad job? Are other YouTubers doing a bad job of like representing Merida as a black haven? Because the next question that they asked is, where do we hang out? Can I just expect us to see us anywhere we go in Merida? I have a video on this on where to find black people in Merida. There is not a neighborhood that we didn't all come together and say, okay, here is the black neighborhood and here is the black hangout spot. When we come to live here, we're all looking for different things, and so we're all spread out in different parts of Merida, because some people like to live in high rises, some people want to live in the local street where you can walk to everything, some people want to live far out where they're far away from everybody and everything, some people want to live in Central in the mix of the happening nightlife and everything. We are spread out. There is no dedicated hangout spot where we all are. And then who is we? Because a lot of the times I am very far removed from some of these conversations, because I'm very aware that when people say we, they are talking about Americans. So I don't even bother to answer that question, because I don't know where the Americans hang out. But to answer your question, if you want to run into Americans, or black Americans, I will say, go to Walmart. I mean, I guess I can see where they're coming from, because you gravitate to what you're used to. And so if you have Walmart in America, it follows through that you'll always go to the Walmart because that's what you know, so you'll go to Walmart. But Chedraui and Soriana, and there are nicer supermarkets, there are nicer grocery stores here in Merida that have fresher ingredients. So when you guys gravitate to Walmart, I know it's really because you go somewhere where you know, and so you trust and you feel at home there. But branch out. You're in a new country. Branch out and see what else is there, because Chedraui is much better than Walmart, honey. Anyways, in my opinion, because me a Jamaican, I don't know about Walmart, so me hardly go to Walmart. You'll always find me in Chedraui because it's a little bit more bougie and I like nice things. But I'm just saying, if you want to see black Americans, go to a Walmart. Every single time I have been inside a Walmart, I have run into someone black. Finally, any spots to avoid? Someone answered him and said America, and I agree. Any spots in Merida to avoid? I don't think so. There aren't any. I mean, we're all here because Merida is touted as a safe space, and it absolutely is. I have yet to feel any kind of danger here. So just keep your head on a swivel and do the same things that you would do when you're in somewhere else, somewhere new, certainly if you're in your home country, and you'll be fine. Just look out for the gringo, people who are trying to gringo you and get the gringo tax, which brings me to the other post that I was talking about. Someone who's been here for a long time, I think more than 3 years, wrote a long post, how to rent long-term in Merida, with some really good info. And again, I hope she doesn't mind me, sharing some of her pointers here on my video, because I think this info is good. Everybody should know it who is searching for this info, and I just wanted to amplify what she said. So I'm not going to mention her name because it's in a closed group, but the info is golden. So green flags, she kind of segmented how to rent in green flags, yellow flags, red flags, things to look out for. And as someone who has now rented 3 times in Merida plus done the Airbnb thing, I agree with a lot of the points, and I have my own input, so let's jump into it. First green flag, seeing the phrase trato directo. So that's going to be like if you're searching for somewhere to rent on Facebook Marketplace. Facebook Marketplace is one of the best places to get rentals here in Merida. A lot of owners will list their homes on Facebook Marketplace for rent, and they will say trato directo, meaning direct deal with the owner. You're dealing with the owner, you're not dealing with a realtor, and so you have more negotiating there. I don't know if that's a green flag or a red flag or a yellow flag. I guess it just depends on your preferences. If you don't want to deal with a realtor and you want to deal directly with the owner, the landlord of the place, so you can negotiate with them, because I find, I've only done it 3 times, but every single time that I've rented, even all 3 times have been through a realtor, I have found some of these places on Facebook Marketplace, but the owner is still there. So even if you're dealing with a realtor, you'll find the owner is still very much involved in the process, and they want to see who is renting their space. They want to have conversation with you during the process. Even in some of the high rises, I have seen owner was there to show me around. They want to see who it is that is interested in their places as well. But that is something to look for. If you're on Facebook Marketplace and you see trato directo, it means you're going to be dealing with the owner, not a realtor. Another green flag is if the owner shows the property themselves. Again, when I have been doing, all of my real estate deals, the owner has been right there. And so this is 50-50 for me. Sometimes the owner is there showing the property, sometimes not. I will say that if the owner is on property during the showing and they like you, they get to have a conversation, then they become more flexible. You're able to say, okay, if I have to pay a double deposit, can I pay half now and half later, or can I change this color wall, or because they're there, you get to vibe with them, and if the vibe is good, then you get to ask certain questions up front even before you put in any interest in the place, just to kind of feel them out and see. So yes, I agree, it is definitely a green flag if the owner is walking through with the property, the showing with you as well. Because if the owner is there, 9 times out of 10, they really care about the property. They want to make sure that the person who's coming in is going to maintain the property, and that's a green flag, because it means that make sure that the property is well maintained. If you report something is wrong with the property, hopefully they'll come in and make sure it is fixed in a timely manner. So yes, it's definitely a green flag if the owner is there, even on the first initial walkthrough. Another green flag she mentioned, if the landlord provides you with copies of the electric, the gas, the water bills before signing the contract. I always ask for a copy of the electric bill myself. You want to see what the bills look like before you move in, so you can budget for that, because that is a recurring bill that you're going to have to pay every month, well, every other month in Mexico. And you want to know what it's like. You also want to be able to look on the bill and see if it's in DAC, D-A-C. That means that the person who was there before, they used a lot of electricity, and so they're out of the lower cost of electricity. So you're gonna be paying a lot of money for your electricity bill as opposed to your neighbor. So you want to be able to examine the bills. I'm just giving you the high level topic, so you can take DAC and go and research it and look deeper into it, look at how to get out of DAC if you're into it or whatever. But what I will say is that there are some regions in Merida where the electricity is more expensive than others. So that is something to consider. So yes, you want to have a look at the electricity bills to make sure that you can see what it is going to be like and put it into your budget. And of course, you also want to make sure that it is paid up so that you're not coming in with any bills that you have to pay. The same is true for the internet bill, which is something that she mentioned further down in her post. Internet goes with the house here, not with the person. So you know, if I'm here and I don't pay the internet bill and I get up and leave, you have to pay my bill. So make sure you ask to see the internet bill and make sure that it is paid. Because if you go in a region where like only one internet provider is there and the person didn't pay the bill, you have to pay the bill because there's no other internet provider in that area. It's not like you can say, okay, I'm just gonna go and get another service provider. So you definitely want to check up on the internet situation before you move into a place here in Merida. By the way, don't be alarmed if the electricity bill, the gas bill, the water bill, those bills stay in the landlord name. So don't be trying to put them in your name when you move in. That's not gonna happen. The electricity and the water bills stay in the landlord's name. The internet you can get in your name. Some landlords prefer to just keep it in their name because, as I said, internet is something that goes with the house, not with the person. But some landlords want you to clear the bill. They want to see proof that it is clear before they even give you back your deposit, which is of course fair. So, you know, that depends on landlord by landlord situation, but just something to be aware of. All right, so she goes on to say the property looks clean and well taken care of. Even if it's not a fancy place, you want to like make sure that the property looks clean when you're moving in. They have no issue providing you with a copy of the contract before signing, so you can get it reviewed by your lawyer and translated into English. So this is something that I did the first time that I moved in, is that I asked to see the contract. So it's just going to be a blank contract, of course. No signatures or anything on it, but it's going to be in Spanish. I did not have a lawyer at the time, so all I did was use my Google Translate app and use the camera app on it and translated to make sure that I understood everything that was in the contract. And I asked the realtor about it and clarified everything and made sure that I was okay with the terms that was in the contract. So if you have a lawyer, you can ask them to go over it. And then when you go to actually sign the contract, don't be afraid to take out you're supposed to have a translator there with you at the notary, because the translator is also going to sign the contract to say that, yes, I translated this document for this person. So you can't say you never know. Like that translator has to sign for you to say they were there. So make sure that you account for that. But even at the notary, even though the translator was there, it wasn't somebody that I knew. It was my realtor's husband who speaks English as well. So I had my little app going over even the one that I was going to sign to make sure it's the same one that I had reviewed before and nothing had changed. I was going over it like, okay, sure. So she said, landlords that are also architects or have an emotional attachment to the house, this is a green flag as well. They will usually fix any problems quickly and have pre-existing relationships with handy peeps. So I will say that in this home that I am in now, it is a string of about 10 or 12 townhouses. I don't know how many are in here. When I came in here, there was definitely people in here building up. So, you know, the landlord was building up and fixing up so he could rent out the units. And when I had just moved in and reported anything, yeah man, them send the plumber, everything fix up quick. Now, not a peep. I remember I asked the property manager, because my landlord, I did meet him at the notary. You want to make sure you meet your landlord. Make sure the landlord comes to the notary signing, because that's a green flag as well. If they're completely, I mean, maybe they don't even live in Merida, and so the property manager is the one doing the signing. Okay, but you want to make sure that they are invested in the property, but that investment might fall off and be nowhere to be found. Most contracts here in Merida, you have 30 days to report anything major. After the 30 days, then my business with you. You are responsible for fixing everything. And so I asked my property manager to send a plumber to fix a problem I was having with the water pump to make sure that my upstairs bathroom has good water pressure. Man said, "No, a plumber for send to me right now." Basically, he was telling me that I'm on my own. I need to go get a plumber to come fix things. And I was just like, okay. I think there is some contracts have, you know, that clause to say any fix above a certain amount, the landlord takes care of it, whatever. So I did get a plumber and he only charged me 250 pesos to fix the thing. So that was a small fee. I ate that. But if it had come up to a certain amount, I would have taken that as my rent. Because what do you mean by me for fix things? No. But you have to try and see what that relationship is like, because a lot of Mexican landlords will leave you to fix things. You are responsible for every single thing in the house when it comes to renting here in Merida. Them not fix nothing. I have had very good landlords that will fix things. That's why she's saying that is a green flag if they have a relationship with the house. They want to make sure them house keep up. Because some landlords are business. They're not business. You're responsible for everything. Don't call me. Like, just make sure I get my money every month is what a lot of them are saying. So she has yellow flags, listings that are in English, and realtors who speak English, because you're going to pay an even higher gringo tax. The property isn't finished being renovated, and or there aren't any appliances yet. A lot of owners will wait to spend money, because remember, you have to pay the first rent and the deposit, and a lot of times a second deposit if you are a foreigner. So they will use all of that money to finish up the fixings. So I have definitely moved into houses before where certain things were not in place until I paid the money, and then they did the thing, and then I moved in. But you have to be comfortable with whatever they say. Like if it is a case, as she's saying, that she thinks appliances are right. If they're saying that when you move in, we'll have a fridge and a stove, you know that they're waiting on your money to go buy the fridge and the stove. However, if it's a big thing, like they're saying, oh, the bathroom is going to be fixed in a certain, it takes a while to fix a bathroom. Fix the bathroom and then talk to me. Like, there are definitely certain things that you want to be fixed before you move in, or else deal off. And even appliances, you may want to be involved in the selection of the appliances if the appliances are not yet purchased, because suppose it's a big family and they are saying, no man, when you move in, we're going to buy the fridge and the stove, and then they buy this little tiny fridge and you have this big family. That might not work for you. So things like that, you have to like be willing to negotiate and talk about it, because it might be a green flag for you that the appliances are not yet purchased. Maybe you can say to them, this is the one I want. One of my landlords was very good about buying a very nice stove for us when the stove that we moved in with just never, it was horrible stove. They fixed things really quickly and purchased a nice brand new stove, pretty stove. So these are the things that you want. This is why it's also good to know your landlord and have your landlord do the walkthrough with you, so you can tell him that I need a bigger stove, I need a bigger fridge, whatever the case may be. Red flags, renderings of rental photos versus actual photos. That is a red flag anywhere, but I would say that I am not renting anywhere that I'm not seeing videos of. And even videos can be tricky, because I have seen properties where when I go, it still doesn't match the video, because the video was taken 5 years ago and the property was brand new. So you want to make sure that you see whatever it is that you're renting beforehand. That is why I say do not rent or purchase sight unseen. Purchase maybe because you're going to put some money into it to fix it up anyway, but do not rent sight unseen. If you cannot be here in Merida, have someone go and look at the property for you on FaceTime, so you can see for yourself what it looks like now. They tell you that the contract is equal to 1 month's rent. This is a very big one. It should be no more than 12,000 pesos, and even that is really high. So what she's talking about here is when you rent here in Merida, there are a lot of fees that you have to pay. The first one is obviously your first month's rent and your deposit. You're going to be asked for a second deposit, a double deposit if you're a foreigner, because foreigners don't have a guarantor to sign on the contract. Most likely you don't know nobody here, nobody's going to sign for you, so they will take another deposit. So that's 2 deposits, and then they will ask you for a contract fee. You must pay the notary to sign the contract for you. This contract fee varies wildly and I definitely have seen some listings say that the contract fee is equal to 1 month's rent. Now imagine if the rent is 20,000 pesos. I must pay you $20,000 for the contract fee. You mad? You are smoke, you are smell mad, puss piss. Like what? No. So the very first apartment that I had here in Merida, why them want to start drill when me in the middle of my video? I hope it's not too loud. Anyways, the very first apartment that I had here in Merida was 20,000 pesos and the contract fee was 10,000 pesos. So that money goes to the notario. But some people are notorious for saying, no, it's 1 month fee and they want you to pay 20,000 pesos too for the contract fee and then them divvy up the rest between them. Because any little thing, forget a little money upon the top. I bet you said to them, I'll use my own notary then, because notaries are plenty here in Merida. Go find a notary to do it. But don't let them tell you that the notary fee is no whole heap of money. The highest one I think I've paid is the 10,000 pesos. Like I got hip to game after that and I was like, no, this is too much money. Another red flag, realtors asking for any money up front, including gas money. All right, so she went on to explain what she means. So what I will put my information on it is, if a realtor asks you for the deposit first, because a lot of the times the realtor shows you the place, they say, if you like it, pay me the first deposit, and then we can just to take the place off the market, and then we'll figure out the rest, and we go through with the rest and do the notary signing and whatnot. The realtor will take that money and issue you a receipt just to go and say to the owner, hey, I signed the property, and they're gonna put that money in their pocket because that's their commission. This is up to you whether you're comfortable or not. The first time I rented a place, I did pay my realtor my first deposit. She gave me a receipt immediately, and so I was comfortable with that because these landlords are working with multiple realtors, multiple people are showing the properties, so the first person to pay their money gets it. So when I paid her, the property was taken off the market. She took down the sign that said it's for rent, so nobody else could show the property after that. And then we set the date to go sign for the contract and blah, 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 blah. Now, obviously, if I decided that I didn't want the place, I would get back my money. But will I get back my money? And so this is why it's a red flag for a lot of people, because you don't know these people. This is a brand new country. Suppose the realtor take up and gone about the business. I was comfortable doing it. You have to do what's comfortable for you. A lot of people are not paying that first deposit to no realtor. They're like, nope, I'm not paying you any money. Meet me at the notary where I will pay all of the funds. So I get that too, that's completely valid, but just know that someone else might snatch it up. It is still up for showings and everything else until you actually get to the signing of the contract. So don't be alarmed if someone snatches the property up from under you because you didn't pay that deposit upfront. Now some realtors are asking for gas money to drive you around, is what she's saying, to show you properties. And let's be real, a lot of you all are here on scouting trips. You are not even planning to rent right now. A lot of these realtors are hip to the game, and so they have no commission money making because you're just coming. You want them to show you a bunch of properties and you're not rent nowhere. So they're like, pay me my gas money. So that's fair, and she went on to say that in her post too. That's absolutely fair, and that's why I have decided to offer neighborhood tours where I will set up some of these appointments for you and show you these places and take you around, so you're not necessarily wasting a realtor's time. But any other money, they shouldn't be really asking for money up front for anything else. I don't know what realtors might have asked for money for, but if you want a neighborhood tour, if you want them to just kind of show you a few properties just so you can get a feel of what the rentals here look like, you should absolutely pay for that person's time and their gas. So a lot of commenters added even more tips, and I'll just see what else people have to say here. Somebody said that you can absolutely still get a dope place for under 15,000 pesos. I absolutely agree. I'm not paying anywhere near 15,000 pesos right now, and my place is pretty dope. I'm in a townhome, 2-bed, 2.5 bath. Yeah, girl, I'm not paying anywhere near 15,000 pesos. So it is still possible. You just have to know how and where to look, and I guess that's where it is beneficial to go with either a realtor who has your best interest at heart, with none of them do. They want to get the biggest commission. You want to take the tips that I give you or these people give you in these Facebook groups, drive around, call these people yourself, see what the rent is, drive around in the neighborhoods and take pictures of the rent signs. Do all of this yourself, or you can come and do neighborhood tours, get someone to drive you around. Don't do the Uber, just rent a car, drive around, or you can book a neighborhood tour with someone who does want to just have your best interest at heart and find you a good deal. Somebody else said visit the property during the day and the night, very important, so you can get an idea of the neighborhood and the neighbors. Very, very, very important, especially like me. Where I'm living right now is right next to a football field, so I definitely asked the person showing me, like, oh, how often do these people play ball? Because that's a lot of noise. But thankfully it doesn't affect me a lot. So you want to find out what the noise factor is going to be in your neighborhood. You want to do things like check for internet speeds in your neighborhood. You want to check how often the trash is collected. You want to check, things like the pet noise. Pet noise is a big one. If you have neighbors that have pets, you will have neighbors that have pets. Do they bark often? I've definitely been on showings where as I'm going, the dog bark. I'm not a big pet person, so that's an issue for me if all I'm hearing is the barking. Somebody else said take a scan of the rental contract, because too many times the notario won't give you a copy until 2 to 3 weeks. So when you go to the notary, make sure you take a picture of the signed contract just for your own peace of mind, because your copy won't be ready until a few weeks time. Take photos and a video recording of the interior and exterior of the home when you're moving in. That's good to document. You're gonna want to do it when you're moving out as well, so you can show it just in case they want to blame you for anything. So you always see me when I'm doing my realtor video, my walkthrough videos. I turn on the taps, I open the cupboards, I'm checking for leaks, watermarks, all of these things. I'm checking the water pressure because that's very important to me. I don't want to be in my shower and the water is just trickling out. You want to flush the toilets to make sure that it flush, and these things. Some of these things we're not checking for as deeply, and so it is good to have someone else open the refrigerator and make sure ain't no funky smells coming out there. Someone even said it's a good idea to have someone else there with you, because you might be there and the realtor distracts you, you're talking to the landlord, someone else who's not as invested in the conversation, walking around and checking under the furniture and looking for every little thing, looking for the water. It's a good idea to bring someone if you can. Another set of eyes is good because they will catch anything that you might miss. Someone said to turn on the AC units and wait and make sure it does cool down the house. That's a good idea, because this unit that I have in my bedroom here, it's not as strong as it could be, and so it really isn't, and so I have decided to just work with it because I think it's also a very energy efficient unit. Either that, or I'm just in an area where the electricity, as I said, some areas electricity is expensive. I've been in one of those areas before, and some areas it is not bad at all. My electricity bills thankfully have been very, very manageable, so I just decided to work with the AC because it's not like me a burn up, but it's just not as strong as I know an AC should be. It's an economical one. Me work with it. Talk to a neighbor or two if you can about water, electricity, parties on the block, how often, all of them kind of things there. If you can talk to a neighbor, that's a good idea. Find out how often there are blackouts, power cuts, power outages happen very often here in Merida. You want to try and figure out if this neighborhood is more affected than anybody else's. Very important to ask. Now, you're probably going to pay the gringo tax for your first place because you're in a brand new country, you're in a brand new place, you just don't know what you don't know. But as you're here in Merida and you start to make friends, hopefully you're also making local friends who can walk you through your next property. Make them do the walking and the talking, because you will avoid a lot of additional costs if the landlord and the realtor sees you with someone local who they know they can't pull the wool over their eyes and get you on a lot of these things. So that is a very, very good idea. You want to assimilate yourself in the neighborhood here, make sure that you're making local friends, have them help you on your search for your next property. It comes in handy. They can even negotiate the price way down for you, because they will be able to say to that landlord, in this neighborhood, I know you're not trying to charge this money, and you can even every single thing is negotiable here in Merida, so you probably can even get that rent price coming on down. So that's a good tip. And one final tip that not even I knew is that when you are at the notario and you are signing your contract, you will also be asked to sign 12 receipts, is what it looks like to you. They are actually called pagares. I'll put that word up here on the screen so you know what it is, so you can do your own deeper research if you want. These are given back to you every month. So it looks like, oh, you paid, here is your receipt. They're not actually receipts, they are promissory notes. It's a promise that you will pay these 12 months. It's like a way to kind of lock you into the contract. So if you try to break your lease before the 12 months is up, they can technically say, I have these 12 promissory notes. You're gonna pay me these 12 months of rent. So if they lawyer up, they can potentially, I guess, sue you, because these promissory notes are enforceable by law. So that is just something to note. And it is very common practice here, because I have signed them every single time I have entered into a rental agreement. You know, someone in the group has said that, you know, through her lawyer, she was able to get out of that. She did not actually sign those 12 pagares. So that is just something for your information to make sure that you are aware of what they will ask for you. And yes, you do have options. Putting that out there. I hope that this video has been informative. You have learned some additional information. If you are on the journey of coming to Merida to live, perhaps you are in the process of looking at rentals, checking out rentals right now. Hopefully this information helped. If you have any more questions, make sure to drop them down in the description box below. Reach out to me if you want to schedule a neighborhood tour, if you'll be in my part of town anytime soon. And guys, if you have really long in-depth questions that you'll want to ask, I do offer 30-minute consultations for 50 USD. So if you want one, reach out to me and we can schedule one ASAP. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Hit that like button so it can find more people who are searching for this kind of information. My name is Monique, and I will see you in the next one.